Uh,
We are recording.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody today. My name's Nancy Lucero. I'm Center Director of the Young Family Tai Chi Center here in Redmond, Seattle, Washington. You guys are in for a treat today. We have Kelly teaching our beginner class for the first section. And so I'd like to give you a little bit of history about Kelly. She started Tai Chi in about 2011, November of 2011. And I just realized this that looking on her ranking information, she received a gold medal in June of 2012 for the 24 movement form by the Canadian, I'll say, Can-Am International Championships. So that's quite an achievement. In July of 2012, she became a teacher assistant for the Blaine Tai Chi Academy. And in November of 2012, she was certified level one with the Chinese Health and Qigong for Ba Dua Jin and Dao Yan Shu Qigong forms. And in June of 2013, she opened up her own studio in Ferndale, Washington, had classes going there. And in November of 2013, she began learning the 103 form in Bellingham with another instructor. In 2014, she became certified in Dr. Lam's Tai Chi for Arthritis, which she continues to teach today. And in 2014, that's when she started attending our school here in Redmond, Washington. She attended a seminar. And in 2016, she received her first level ranking with the International Young Family Tai Chi Association. And in 2016, she started also in my teacher training class. In May of 2017, she received her second level rank with the International Association. And also in 2017 in May, she established the Whatcom Tai Chi Club, where she offered free Tai Chi classes at the Ferndale Library. And in June of 2017, she started Tai Chi in the park, free classes, weekly practice in Bellingham. And in March of 2018, she received her third level rank in the International Association. So, needless to say, Kelly's got a lot of Tai Chi, a lot of certification under her belt. I am so happy that she is here to teach you today. And
I can't. I'm still
okay,
getting a black screen. I can't see a thing.
sorry. Okay, so anyway, Kelly's got a lot of Tai Chi under her belt. She also teaches Qigong classes. So I'd like to turn the class over to her, and you guys are in for a treat. I'm really happy. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Nancy. So some of you know me and some of you don't, but now you know me a little bit better. You know a little bit about my history. So I'd like to start the class with a salute. When we salute, we start with a fist. So I want you to grab a mug of beer. Your fingers are curled in and your thumb crosses the top of the fingers. I'm just going to come up a little bit closer. So you want the top to be nice and flat, if possible. You want your thumb to be crossing over your fingers, coming across the fingers. And if this isn't completely flat, don't worry about it. Always go within your body's capabilities. The reason we want to have it flat, though, is that if you were to punch somebody, you want to have the impact go across all of your fingers to so that no one finger hits first, because whichever finger is sticking out is going to hit first and get the brunt of the impact. So you want to have your fist nice and flat if possible. And you also want to have the thumb across as opposed to up, because you don't want your thumb to be getting the impact as well. So we have the thumb across. We have the other hand. Your fingers are together gently and you're nice and flat. You put the top part of your hand into the palm and you place your thumb over the eye of the fist. Placing the thumb over the eye of the fist. And you try to have your elbows level, so you don't want to be tilted one way or the other. Your shoulders are nice and dropped. So if you lengthen your neck, that kind of pushes your shoulders down. And we'll start here. All right. Thank you for coming, everybody. Okay, so let's talk about safety. You want to make sure that the area around you doesn't have anything that you might trip over. Sometimes with carpet, you want to be careful if your shoes or your feet get caught on the carpet. So we always want to be aware of our surroundings. And we always want to be listening to our bodies as we're doing Tai Chi, because you'll sometimes see me do something. That doesn't mean that you have to go as far or as deep as I go. Always listen to your body. So we've got different zones. You have your comfort zone, your safety zone, your warning zone, and this area is the world of pain. So to stay out of the world of pain, you want to make sure that you're listening to your body. So comfort zone is about 50%. Your body is relaxed. You're not really stretching or anything like that. Your safety zone is when we gently stretch. When we go too far, when we push too far, then we start to go into the warning zone, and your body will start to give you little clues. If we don't listen to the warning zone, then we wind up in the world of pain. So I want to keep you in the safety zone where we're stretching to about 70%, between 70 and 80%. Always listen to your body, please. So that means that if you need to rest at any point, then you do. And if you need to get some water, especially on a hot day like today, then please do. Listen to your body. I don't know what's happening in your body. You know best what's happening in your body. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the body. So we're going to be doing things to stretch different parts of our bodies. And muscle fibers stretch more easily than tendons and ligaments. So you have your muscles. Your tendons attach your muscles to the bones, and your ligaments attach bone to bone. So your muscles are kind of stretchy. So it's kind of like this nice, I don't know if you can see this, but it's, whoop. See, that's what we don't want to have happen. So my elastic band just snapped. So when we pull too far, okay, this might be a kind of a brittle elastic band, but that just goes to show if you pull too hard and too fast and too far, then you put yourself in danger. So I want you to be listening. Your tendons and ligaments are more like, like the elastic bands for broccoli. They're a little bit tougher and they're a little bit harder to, so those stretch. They don't stretch as quickly and easily, so they take gentle persuasion. So we are not doing anything to really stress the joints. We want to keep our joints nice and happy. All right. Joints. So different joints work in different ways. The one that I am the most concerned about are the knees. The knees work like a hinge, and so they go like this, right? This is the direction that they will normally go. We want to make sure that we don't do anything to do this. We don't want to be twisting the knee, because that will put us in the world of pain. So we want to avoid the world of pain. We want to respect what the body does and go within its limits and its capabilities. All right. What is Tai Chi? So I don't know if, I know some of you have been practicing Tai Chi for a little while, and some of you, this might be your first time into it. And I feel like, so I'm going to show you the Tai Chi symbol. It's actually Tai Chi, T-A-I-J-I. So you have the Tai Chi symbol, which is actually a moving symbol. It's a symbol of balance and change. And when we think of, we always think in terms of yin-yang, complementary opposites. And it's really easy to keep your balance when you're centered. When you're standing right in the center, you've got your 2 feet, out, and it's easy to be balanced. Most of the time we won't fall over when we're just standing, unless it's really hot like today, but most of the time when we're standing, we don't have any problems with balance. Typically, we're going to have problems with balance when we're moving, when we're changing things. And so what we want to do is we want to move in a way that helps keep us balanced. Balance doesn't necessarily mean centered. It often does, but sometimes when we are off center, we need to use our body in a way that keeps us balanced. There are a couple of things that help us with balance. For example, alignment is one of them. One of the main things that will help keep your balance is how well aligned you are. So alignment is just, are you in a line? Are you lined up? In terms of our body, I don't know if you can see this. This is Joe Tai Chi. So Joe Tai Chi comes in different pieces, right? He's got his legs. Can we all see this? Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to switch to a view where I can see all of you. Okay. So we can see this? Yes?
Yeah, move it back just a little bit.
A little bit? Okay. All right. So this is Joe Tai Chi, and he comes in different pieces. And when he's lined up, then it's easy for him to stay in balance. When there's something out of alignment, he gets a little tippier. And the more things that are out of alignment, the riskier it gets for him. So we want to think, and it's part of it is in this direction, but a lot of it happens in this sideways direction. So if you have any kind of postural things going on, for example, if you have a tendency to have your head slightly forward, which a lot of us do, then it starts to pull forward, because that's kind of the way gravity works, right? Gravity is constantly pushing down on the body. And so this kind of alignment really doesn't help. The more aligned we are, the better we are lined up, the better are our chances of keeping our balance. Is this making sense so far? Yes. So we want to have good alignment. Okay. So when we are, so we talked about gravity and how gravity is constantly pulling down on us. When I have both my feet out, gravity is pushing down on me, but I have two things supporting me, and so I'm fairly safe. The place where I start to get into trouble is when I'm going from one foot to the next. And so I have my centers, so this is my line of alignment, right? And I have gravity pushing down on my body. And so if I have a support underneath, then I'm able to stay up. So for example, I don't know if you can see this weight, but this weight is being supported by underneath by my hand. So if there's no support underneath, then it's going to drop to the ground. So we always want to make sure that our weight, our center of gravity, so you've got up here and you've got here. And you want to make sure that they're well lined up and supported underneath by one of the feet. When we go to lift up a foot, we automatically will shift our weight because these centers, we're trying to get it to a place where it's supported underneath. Is this making sense? So far with me? Yeah, okay. So if I am here in the center, no problem. If I do not shift my center, so here and here, if I don't shift my center, then what happens is it makes this side very heavy if there's no support on this side, and I tip. So what I want to do whenever I move is I want to move these centers to be where they are supported. So now I've taken my weight, I'm folding in my hip. I can bring my weight over that foot in a couple of ways. I can either shift this way, puts a little bit of strain on the body, or I can fold in the hip crease and I can turn my body so that it brings this line to line up with my foot. And now I'm supported underneath. So I want to think, how is my line? How is my alignment? And where is my weight? Is it supported underneath? The more you can align yourself and place your weight in the proper place, the better your chances of staying balanced. So this comes in, so I also have a line across my hips. You want to be aware of where your hips are. So if my hips are tilted, if I tilt my hips, then my alignment goes out of whack, right? Whether it's here, whether it's here, I want my line to always be up and down, supported underneath. This is all making sense? All right, okay. So there are a couple of clues about your hips. If you think of your tailbone position, so here, if my tailbone is down and it's in the center, where's my tailbone? If my tailbone is down and in the center, then that means that my hips are lined up. My hips are level. I want to keep my hips level. The minute I tip my hips and I put my tailbone out of place, that's going to affect my balance. So I'm keeping an awareness of this line. I'm keeping an awareness of this line. I'm thinking, where's my tailbone? I also am thinking about my knees. I never want to lock my knees, because when I lock my knees, what happens is it tilts my pelvis, and then my tailbone starts shooting out in that direction. That also closes the lower back. It starts to tighten up the lower back. So I want to make sure my knees are always unlocked, and that allows my lower back to relax. So if you have lower back issues, you might want to check, whether you lock your knees, whether you think of having a heavy tailbone and a relaxed lower back. All right. Okay. All right. Does everybody have a book or something to balance on their head? We're going to do this seated. I'm throwing a lot of ideas at you right now. I will be reviewing them. I just want to go over them so that we're all kind of on the same page and you know what it is that I'm referring to. Haha, do I have a book to balance on my head? Yes, I do. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to place the book on the top of the head. And I want you to feel the top of your head. I have got kind of a pointy top of the head, so keeping it balanced. And I want you to gently push the book upwards. I want you to soften your shoulders and make your neck nice and long and balance the book on the top of your head. And I want you to remember what this feels like. Because during class, I'm going to remind you about having that book on the top of the head. So when you have the book on the top of the head, you can take it off now. When you have the book on the top of the head, you'll notice that your gaze is forward. So you want to always have your gaze kind of level. You don't want to be looking down, and you also don't want to be looking up. You want your head to be level. All right. I know I'm jumping around. It will all make sense, I promise, at some point. I'm going to back up a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of isolation exercises in the body. So we've taken the book off the top of the head, but I'd like you to still imagine that it's there. So feel that book on the top of your head. Feel yourself gently lifting up, so lengthening the back of your neck. Your gaze is forward. Then what I want you to do is keeping your shoulders square to the front. I want you to sort of soften down the sides of the neck, just with your thoughts. Thinking, soften the back of my neck, soften the sides of my neck. Allow my shoulders to begin to sink. And I'm going to keep my shoulders square to the front as I turn my head like the head of an owl. So my body doesn't move, but just my head moves. And it turns. And it remains level. My gaze remains level. And then I turn back to center. And I'm going to turn to the other side. Notice, is your neck tight? Do you tend to carry tension in that area of the body? See if you can soften a little bit more. And then come to the center. Good. We're going to take a nice inhale. We're going to puff the cheeks and exhale. I'll show you what that looks like. Nice inhale. Puff the cheeks. Exhale. When you exhale, I want you to exhale nice and slowly and easily. We're not pushing the air out. We're just kind of letting the air out of an air mattress. When you just unplug and it just kind of... We're going to do that again, and this time you're going to let your shoulders melt a little bit and your chest relax a little bit. Here we go. We have our book on the top of the head. The neck is nice and relaxed, but it's nice and long. Here we go. Nice inhale. Puff the cheeks. Exhale. Releasing tension from the shoulders. Relaxing that chest area. We'll do that one more time. This time as you exhale, I want you to relax twice as much. Still with the book on the top of your head, so your neck is still nice and long. Here we go, nice inhale. Puff the cheeks. Exhale. Good. We're going to do that one more time. And this time when you inhale, I want you to inhale gently and slowly. And I want you to think of a smell that you really like, whether it be coffee or baking, whatever it is. Your shoulders are soft and relaxed. Your neck is nice and long. You have your book on the top of the head, not literally, figuratively. And nice, slow, gentle inhale, smelling that bread or coffee or whatever that is. Puff the cheeks. And exhale, releasing, relaxing twice as much. Good. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep our sits bones on. So basically keep your bottom stuck to the chair. We're going to turn on the center line. So we're not going to lean. We're going to think we have a pole right down the center of the body, and we're going to turn. And I want you to allow your shoulders to help a little bit, and we're going to just stretch towards the back and come to the center. And stretch to the other side. And center. You're going to relax the belly and stretch. Come to the center. And other side. And center. Last time, this time I want you to notice how far you turn around. How much do your shoulders turn? Where can you see in the room? And then I want you to come back to the center. And just take note on the other side, using your shoulders to give a little bit of stretch. See how far you can look, and then come to the center. This time we're going to turn the body, except we're not going to use our shoulders. So our shoulders are going to completely stay out of it. They're going to stay completely relaxed. There's no pulling of the shoulders. We're going to turn the body using the lower back muscles, using our, what they call the waist. But when we talk about the waist, we're really talking about the muscles that are alongside the spine. We're going to relax the lower back. And you're going to imagine you have a marker sticking out of your belly button. And you're going to use that marker to draw a horizontal line to the side and turn the body. So shoulders stay completely soft and relaxed. Using the marker. So really imagine using the marker and use the marker to draw a line to the side and see how far you get. And come back. So make sure that you're not turning your head. Your head is just going to go with the body. So we're just turning the body, using the marker to make that turn. Don't use your shoulders. If you use your shoulders, then you're using these muscles, not the inner muscles. And we want to be starting to target the inner muscles. So we think of both cheeks sitting on the chair. Our lower body is stable and just the upper body goes using that marker in the belly button. You may find that your range of motion is a little bit smaller. Good. How are we doing so far? So when we talk about turning using our waist, this is kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about not using our shoulders, but using these muscles in the lower part of your back to make the turn. And it helps to either think of a marker sticking out of the front, like out of your belly button, or out your mingmen, which is a point on your back, about belly button level, pointing out the back and thinking of, you can draw the line whichever way, but you want to start bringing your focus down to this area of the body. So keeping the hips nice and stable, and just turning your waist. Now what I want you to do is I want you to press into the ground with your right foot. You're going to be my mirror image. You're going to press into the ground with your right foot, and now you're going to use your marker and see if it helps a little bit. Can you go a little bit farther when you push into the ground with that foot and kind of anchor yourself and turn and then come back? Now don't use your foot and try to turn with that marker in your belly button. See how far you get. And come back. Again, push your foot into the ground, anchor yourself and turn. And come back. How's everybody doing so far? So far, so good? So how did it feel when you had your foot anchored to the ground? Did it make any difference?
Marion here.
Yep.
It did a little bit. I just wanted to verify that when we're sitting in the chair, we want us to be sitting straight up. Be leaning against the back of the chair.
So you don't want to be leaning against the back of the chair. You want to be
using our muscles to sit up.
Yes, we want to be using the muscles to sit up. And so what will help with that, because sometimes, especially at this time of the day when the body starts to get a little tired, that's where that sticking your book on the top of the head is going to help you a little bit, because you will naturally, when you imagine that book on the top of the head, you'll naturally lengthen just a little bit. And again, we're not looking to push upwards, we're looking to gently extend. So in Tai Chi, you'll often hear the word relax. And I want to make sure we understand that when we say relax, in North America, when we hear the word relax, what we hear is go limp, collapse. But when we're talking about relaxation in Tai Chi, what we're actually talking about is a softness in the body, but expansion. So whenever you hear me say the word relax, think soft and expanded, gently expanded. And through that gentle expansion, through that going 70% consistently, all of a sudden, our muscles start to get a little bit stronger. We start developing those muscles along the spine. We start gaining a little bit more flexibility. And over time, and that's the thing with Tai Chi, it's not a race. We are looking for slow, consistent improvement. We're not looking for perfection. We are looking for improvement. Wherever you're at, start wherever you're at, and we gently grow. Because I don't know, like my son just went through a growth spurt. He grew like 7 inches or so in the last year, and it was painful. We don't want to have those growing pains. We want to have our nice, slow, gentle extension and growth. Yes. Does that help, Marion?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, good, good. All right. So let's do a little bit of, okay. I just want to make sure I cover everything. Like I said, there are a lot of ideas that we're covering today, but we will be reviewing them. I just want to make sure that we kind of have we're on the same page. All right. So we talked about moving from the waist and how it means not moving from the shoulders, but moving from the lower back, thinking of our marker and our belly button. And when you're standing, so when we're seated, it's really easy to keep the hips stable. When we're standing, it's a little bit more difficult because the hips are going to want to go with us. So I want you to, in certain areas, the hips will turn a little bit. But sometimes we want to just do the upper body, in which case I want you to remember that anchored feeling of the hips, that they don't move, but the rest of but the upper body does. All right. Okay. A couple more ideas, and then I promise we will get on our feet. When we are walking in Tai Chi, there's this wonderful relationship that happens between the feet. It's called push and support. And one of the reasons we want to have push and support is we want to have a really good connection of the foot with the ground. And your feet are your foundation. And we all know that if we have a solid foundation, then it allows us, the more solid our foundation, the more we can add and grow and keep building on top of. If your foundation isn't solid, it's really difficult in Tai Chi to get that really nice, relaxed, flowiness of the upper body, because if your body ever thinks that it's in danger, I don't know if you've ever felt like you were about to lose your balance and your whole body kind of tenses. It's really hard to have nice and flow when you are tense. So if you have a really solid foundation, if your footwork is really good, that allows your upper body to relax because it knows it's safe. It's got its good foundation. So it knows it can relax, and then you'll be able to go a little bit deeper in terms of your relaxation and flow. So when we step in Tai Chi, we don't stop. We roll. And I want you to think of, okay, I did this morning with my other class, and I actually had water in the sponge, and it didn't work out very well because it just went running down my elbow. It was a mess. So I want you to imagine water in this sponge, and I want you to think when you step, I want you to step with this is your heel, and these are your toes. I want you to step with the heel, and I want you to go heel, ball, toe, and squeeze the water out of the sponge. I want you to have that idea of heel, ball, toe, squeezing the water out of the sponge. So it's not that we are it's not that we're just shifting our weight back and forth between our feet. We're actually pushing from the back foot to anchor us a little bit. And then we're pressing into that front foot, going heel, ball, toe, very deliberate. Everything in Tai Chi is quite deliberate. We're making choices. And we make these choices to develop better habits. We want to, we also want to think heel, ball, toe. So this is my almost empty toothpaste tube. When you want to get that last little bit of toothpaste out, what do? You squeeze from the bottom and you work your way up. I want you to think that with your feet. heel ball toe, squeeze, and toothpaste comes out. So we want to think rolling heel ball toe squish. So I also want to mention, we talked about that gentle, that soft body, soft and expanded. So when we are relaxed, which is soft and expanded, we are constantly doing this throughout Tai Chi. We do this kind of open and close, this gentle stretching. So it's not just for our muscles and our joints, it's also for the fascia in our body. So our fascia is this connective tissue that is throughout our body. It wraps our muscles, it wraps our muscle bundles, like it's everywhere in our body, and it's kind of like this web throughout your body. And you want your fascia to be nice and flexible. You don't want to have that stiffness. And one of the things that will help your fascia be nice and flexible is if we gently stretch and release and stretch and release. And the idea that I want you to have in terms of stretching and releasing all this fascia that runs throughout your whole body is this. I want you to think of a balloon expanding. So when we expand in Tai Chi, we don't expand so much. I mean, you saw what happened with my elastic band, right? I went a little too far and it snapped. Well, same thing when we go too far in Tai Chi. If I blow this balloon up too far, it's gonna burst, right? So I want to be 70%, so not relaxed but stretchy. And I want to think, when I say expand and relax, relax doesn't mean to collapse, it just means letting a little bit of air out. You don't want to be like this. You still want to have a little bit of give. You want to have that stretchiness. You want to expand and relax. Making sense? So while we're doing this, while we're doing these gentle expansion and relaxation, we start to improve. It takes muscles to do that expansion and relaxation. So two things will happen. You will strengthen your muscles and you will also gain more flexibility. And we do this slowly and gently. And what happens over time is this world of pain becomes smaller because our safety zone starts to get bigger. So this all expands and there is less of a world of pain, also known as the Advil zone. Okay. All right, so we all understand the thing about the feet? Squish. Let's do some bow stance. Bow stance is one of the main stances in Tai Chi. And when we do a bow stance, I'm just gonna switch. When we do a bow stance, we want to have, well, whenever we're standing, we want to have our feet kind of wide, not wide, kind of shoulder distance apart. And the reason for this is, so here's my Joe Tai Chi, and he's got, you know, shoulder space between his feet. But imagine if his base was really small. If his base was really small, upside down, sorry. So imagine that his base is really small. The smaller his base is, what does that do to his stability? When you have a little base and exactly, so tippy-tippy, right? So we want to make sure that when we're standing, we have about shoulder distance apart, which means outside of your feet, around, you know, we're not gonna worry too much about it. We're just gonna think outside of my feet, approximately outside of my shoulders. When we stand, when we start the form, we stand and prepare. And prepare is having your feet facing in the front direction And we're also thinking of not collapsing the knees. We have the knees open, lined up with the toes. And what I want you to do is I want you to just stand for a second. And then I want you to open the knees a little bit and feel what happens to the feeling of the pressure on the bottom of the feet. You may feel a little squish. So if I want to squish the little sponges on the bottom of my feet, I open the knees a little bit, I open the hip creases a little bit, and I feel my feet connect with the ground. I want to be in a place called the bubbling well, which is just behind the balls of the feet. So it's kind of like if you were to run your fingers like where the balls of your feet are, and you go a little bit behind it and there's a little dip. That's called the bubbling well. And we want to have our weight in the bubbling well. So our knees are unlocked because we want to release that lower back, have the tailbone point down. We want to have the shoulders nice and relaxed. To go into a bow stance is back foot opens 45 degrees, so off to the corner, and front foot steps out shoulder distance. So you notice that I didn't step out here. I stepped out still shoulder distance. In your bow stance, you want to have shoulder distance apart. Right now, my hips are going to want to angle with my back foot, which is to the corner. And I'm going to bend that front knee, but I'm not going to let the toes go past, I'm not going to let the knee go past the toes. So if I were to look down, I should still be able to see my toes. My tailbone is going to be down because my hips are level. I'm not leaning one way or the other. My hips are level, my tailbone is in the center, my lower back softens and relaxes, and I imagine a weight on my tailbone pulling down ever so gently. So this time we're going to step out into a bow stance, and when we step out, let's see, shift, excuse me, shift left over right. All right, so you're going to shift to your left. Oops, I put my line on the wrong side. So I will not be your mirror image. You're going to shift your weight to your left. You're going to keep this leg where it is. And you're going to turn the hips so that it opens the toe to the corner. You're going to bend both knees, and your right knee is going to go in the direction of the right toes, and your left knee is going to go into the direction of the left toes. When we do that, when we shift, I want you to squish the sponge on your left foot. I want you to use this foot to kind of squish. You're going to step out straight forward, and then you're going to think squish. You're going to push from the back foot, and you're going to go squish, and you're going to bend the knee slightly, not past the toes. How are we doing so far? So far, so good? Okay. So here we go again. You're going to shift to your left. Keep this leg stable. Open the hips. It's not that I'm opening my foot. I'm turning my hips and I'm taking my foot with me. I drop my tailbone and I swish. And I step out. And I heel, ball, toe, squish. I make sure my hips are level and my tailbone is pointing down. Now what I want you to do is, I want you to feel the bottom of your feet. So you've squished that front foot, but did you pay attention to the back foot? Is it still squishing? Now I want you to shift your weight ever so slightly forward and feel what happens to the back foot. You're going to feel it start to peel up a little. So I want you to push from the front foot and bring your weight back to where both feet feel like they're squishing on the ground. What we're doing right now is we're establishing roots. So roots, if you think of roots of a tree, if you have a really tall tree, you want those roots to go deep. Your roots are coming out the bottom of your feet, and you want to feel stable so that if somebody were to come along and give you a push, you're not going to just timber and go down because both feet are rooted. And it's much easier to stand your ground if both feet are rooted and not just one. All right, so here we go again. Feet shoulder distance apart. Knees are slightly open. Feel that press into the ground. Feel the tailbone go down. Feel your book on the top of the head so the neck is nice and long. You're going to shift. You're going to turn the hips. Keep your knee, your right knee, pointing, your left knee, pointing in the left toe direction. So you're opening those hips. Then you're going to bend. You're going to squish that sponge under your right foot, step out. And heel ball toe, squeeze the water out of that sponge. Do you still have the back foot rooted? Do you still have your book on the top of the head? All right. Again, I want you to think shift and squish a little bit. Turn the hips, bend both knees. Heel ball toe, squeezing the water out of that sponge and stepping out. Connect with the heel, heel ball toe. Bend the knee. Both feet are planted on the ground. All right, how are we doing so far? So far, so good? So these are all the things that you want to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Most important are your feet. I know it sounds like I have a foot fetish. I swear to God I don't, but it's going to give you the best foundation. If you have a really solid foundation, it's going to change your form. All right, so we talked about alignment, right? And we talked about balance. So easy to stay balanced if I am here, right? I want to talk about when we move, when we do a transition from one bow stance to the next. And I guess I should show you what we should practice on the other side. So we shifted to the right, open the left. We're going to do the other side. So this time, shift to your right. I am not your mirror image. Shift to your right. Right knee stays in line with the right toe. Open the hips. And that brings the toe out. Squish. Soften the knees. Push into that foot. Peel the other foot up. Place the heel. Heel ball toe. Squish. Tailbone down. Hips level. Book on the top of your head. Shoulders dropped. Do you feel both feet? Nice and solid. All right. We'll do that one more time, and then we're going to do a little bit of Tai Chi walking. Here we go. Shift right. Knee stays aligned with the toe. Hips open, bringing the toes out. Push, heel, ball, toe. Drop that tailbone. Stepping out. Place the heel. Heel, ball, toe. Squeeze. Do you still have your back root? Do you still have the book on the top of the head? Shoulders are dropped. When you're in this position, your shoulders are square. Your shoulders are to the corner with your hips and your back foot. All right. Let's see. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go into a bow stance, and we're going to turn the upper body using our waist, so not the shoulders, using our pencil in the belly button, keeping our hips still. All right, here we go. You're going to shift your weight to the left. I'm not your mirror image. I'll do it with my back to you a couple of times. So you're going to shift to the left. Knee lines up with the toe. Open the hips. Heel ball toe. Going into a bow stance, placing the heel, pushing, squeeze, heel, ball, toe, both feet squeezing down, right? Now, without moving your hips, take your marker and your belly button and turn to your right. Where's your tailbone? Is it still pointing down or has it tilted? Again. Lengthen the back of the neck. You have your book on the back of the head, on the top of the head. Pour the weight into your left foot. Open the hips. Knee stays lined up with the toe. Open the hips. Push. Heel, ball, toe. Stepping out into a bow stance. Heel, ball, toe, squish. And I want you to think, when you are squeezing, I want you to feel the feeling between your legs is like when you draw a bow and arrow and there's that tension of there's that pulling apart of a bow and arrow and then you let go. So there's that tension that happens and I want you to feel that here. And your feet press into the ground. Yes? Am I making sense? Is everybody needing a glass of water? All right. So now we're gonna add in the movement from foot to foot. We're gonna do some Tai Chi walking. When we move here, I'm pretty stable. My balance issue comes in when I'm on the move, right? So when I'm on the move and I open, I'm making sure my knees stay aligned with the toes. I open. Now my hips are forward. And this is kind of a vulnerable position because my center line is not supported by two planted feet. I'm on my heel. So I want to bring this line over this foot by turning the body, lining it up, bringing the foot in, stepping out. Once I have somewhere to go, then I push heel, ball, toe and go into the other foot. If you want to move smoothly in your form, you will really be paying attention to your alignment. And you'll be paying attention to the relationship between the feet. I'm going to do it with my back to you. We're going to start with our feet shoulder distance apart. Shift the weight. Left foot aims out. Turn. You're going to push into that right foot. Squish that sponge, stepping out. And push. Heel, ball, toe. Hips are to the corner. Shift. Slightly back. You're going to open both legs, opening wide, and you're going to turn your body so that your line lines up with the foot, and you're going to place the foot. And now you're aiming towards the corner. You're in your next bow stance. You're going to push from that front foot into that back foot. You're going to open the hips. You're going to turn the body so it lines up with that foot, supported underneath. And you're going to step. And you're going to push. Heel, ball, toe, swish. You're going to push from the front foot into the back foot. You're going to open the hips. And you're going to turn that line towards that foot. Is this all making sense? I can't tell with my back to you if this is all making sense. So if you want that smooth movement forward, you want to line up. You want to make sure that this line, so this tells you where gravity is pushing down. So if it's supported underneath, then I'm going to have a lot more control over what I do. Okay, it's a hot day, and I don't know about you, but I need a glass of water. You probably need a glass of water. I'm sweating. I'm ready for a shower. So we're going to close here for today. The next time we're going to talk a little bit more about the upper body shape. So we talked a little bit about the bow stance and I'm sorry I gave you a really like quick introduction to the Tai Chi Walking. But Rita is going to be running a practice tomorrow of, going over some of the stuff that we've been doing today. And I believe she'll be practicing some Tai Chi Walking with you as well tomorrow. Her practice is at 11. You do have to register for it. So either Nancy or I will send out the link so that you can practice it. So Tai Chi is kind of like vegetables. You want to have a cup a day instead of 7 cups in one day on Sundays, right? A little bit every day, you will be amazed. It is so much, you'll get so much more out of it, and your learning will be quicker and deeper if you do a little bit every day rather than just cramming it all into one day. Daily practice. So there is a practice tomorrow. There's also a practice on Saturdays. Judy does a practice at 10:30 on Saturdays, but it's of the whole form. But if you want, to get your eyeballs on the whole form just to see where we're going, then there's that one. And Dee Dee does an amazing class on basics and foundations. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about today, and she's got some great exercises to help you with that. And she does that on Wednesdays at noon and Saturdays at 9. So there are lots of opportunities to practice. You do have to register for them, and we will send out the links to you guys. I hope you guys had fun. Drink some water. Oh, so we talked about fascia and how we want it all nice and squishy. The reason why we want to keep hydrated is because our fascia needs to be nice and hydrated and bendy rather than all crunchy and hard. Drink water. Don't drown yourself. Water. Okay. All right, so we'll close class here. I'm sorry we went over time. I am guilty of that sometimes. I apologize. Okay, so feet together. So we're going to make our fist. So grab your mug of beer or whatever. Thumb across, nice and flat across the top. Other hand is nice and flat. Top of the hand goes into the palm, and your thumb covers your fist eye. Elbows are level, shoulders dropped, neck nice and long. So we start from here, and typically we come in and then a little bit out. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. I hope you had a good time. Next week we'll do a little bit of upper body shape, and you can practice this week with Rita and Dee Dee and Judy. And I will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you, Kelly. That was really
Thank
helpful.
you.
Good.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. That was great.
And